Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Saturday Cup Series. We sure are excited to be here this lovely Saturday evening, I should say, for the Sun Drop 200 at Rockingham Speedway, the Rock, a legendary racetrack, and of course it was a legendary performance on Thursday where we saw Josh Schaffner, of course, claim the victory. Saw a lot of stage winners as well, and tonight, of course, is a new new cast of characters, or I should say some familiar faces and some guys we've seen before. Of course, my name is Brian Britt, and I'm joined in the booth by Big Al. How are you doing tonight, Big Al?
Hey, doing pretty good there, Brian. Excited to be back at the Rock, if you will, here in North Carolina. Track where definitely is no stranger for people who have been around the series for a while. Thursday night was an exciting race, and I'm sure tonight will be no different. I mean, I definitely think this is a cast of others, if you will, instead of a band of brothers. We'll call it a cast of others. Some familiar names out here tonight, Brian. Tell us what we can look forward to seeing.
Well, taking a look at the race facts for this evening's race, of course, 200 laps, stages 45 and 105 are the stages there. That was a little bit of a point of contention on Thursday, just considering that last stage did actually present shorter runs than the first two stages because of the way the green flag pit stops kind of worked out. So interested to see how that affects some of these drivers here tonight. Of course, saw a lot of action on Thursday. 5 sets of tires, though, down in the pits. 4 actually, or I should say 4 in the pits. 5 if you include the one that is on the race car. And 68 laps is the fuel window. Now, I do believe these guys pitted at roughly 40 to 45, I think, in the final stage. So I don't think fuel is going to be too much of a concern. Tires is definitely going to be one, though.
Yeah, tires definitely going to be a concern, but the one thing about it is these drivers have had a lot of time to put laps on this week, so they should all be honing in their setups, if you will. So I think that's going to make it a lot more exciting as well, Brian.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And it looks like warm-up has almost concluded here. Qualifying is going to be starting in just a few moments. And I'd say qualifying is going to be quite an important endeavor, Big Al, just considering how it seemed valuable track position was.
Yeah, and track position is going to be key here. And another thing is going to be that pit stall position. Now, these guys are going to have to think about this in the terms of the long haul. They can't look at it in terms of the short run, because when you're on a track, especially like one at Rockingham, you got to factor in that you're going to have to make those green flag pit stops, Brian. So you want to make sure that you have a pit stall that's going to allow you to get in easy and out quick.
100%. Now, I know from what I heard, I actually heard a little bit of guys talk about on Thursday that the track got really hot, which I don't think we quite covered a little bit of that. We really didn't notice very much, but I heard from a lot of guys that it did start to get really hot out there, and some adjustments were needed for that final stage. Let's look at the track temp now, Big Al. What do you think?
Yeah, that ambient air temperature right now, Brian, it's going to be 76 degrees. The track temp at 96. Winds are going to be out of the south at 9 miles an hour. Now, it's still early in the day, so the sun is not at its meridian height yet. So as the sun does go up, the track will definitely heat up. So we'll be watching that track temp. And one thing I think we should note is 96 degrees, because that's where it's at here once we're going through qualifying. And I am interested to see how that track temp does affect these guys, the handling of the race cars as the race progresses.
Right now, it looks like Josh Schaffner has the provisional pole. Let's take a good look at the standings coming into tonight's race. Now, it looks like, of course, we've had 3 races so far in this season, so a little bit one less than, of course, the Thursday series, considering just the way the holidays kind of fall. Of course, Don Avery, 2 wins on the season, most out of everybody right now. Of course, he is in the first place position in the points here. Chris Severa, the only other winner, in second here, and I do believe he actually just took the pole. Darren Mullins, of course, sits in third. 4th place, Jose Acosta. 5th place, Randy Mullins. 6th place, Greg Wachinski. 7th, Wes Dobbs. 8th, Josh Schaffner. 9th, Kenny Powell. And 10th, Gary Adamson. A lot of these guys that are on this list here are out in force here tonight. Now, of course, Randy Mullins, I do believe, did not make last week's race, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, that might have been Thursday I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that is Thursday you're thinking of. But the one driver that's missing tonight, that's Greg Wachinski, and he's not going to be doing himself any favors, Brian, because he's going to miss out on the opportunity to get those stage points as well as those end of race points. So even though we're early on into the season, that's going to put a little bit more pressure on Chris Severa because he's going to definitely want to be trying to get a win in because you want to try to get a points lead as well as you do a race lead. But what I'm saying is the stage points are so critical because in a lot of leagues, you don't get the opportunity to gain points like you do here in the ISCA. So you're going to have the first stage and the second stage. So if you miss a race, you're missing 3 times the opportunity to put points on the board. So think about it like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. You're 100% right, and we even talked about it a little bit on Thursday, and we'd like to reiterate about that. You know, you can win both stages and not win the race and get more points than the winner does. I mean, it's wholly possible. You know, the second place finisher could get the most points in the race. You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it's just all about how you hold your mouth, like you always say, right?
Yeah, and it it really does add a different dimension to racing because drivers aren't allowed to sandbag it. You know, you can't just kind of lay in the back and kind of just a lot of guys get promoted like that. They just kind of stay in the back, avoid the wrecks, and finish. Yeah, well, you can't do that here because if you're going to be out here racing like tonight, especially 12 cars in the field. You're gonna have to be able to get those strong stage points. And it's an opportunity for everybody to get points. I mean, even Derek Jacobs, and I'm not saying that disparagingly against Derek Jacobs because he is definitely one of our most improved drivers here right now. But you know what? Looks like we got to go ahead and take a step away, play that national anthem, and we'll be right back with our coverage of tonight's feature presentation.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports. Driver, start your engine!
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun drop.
That's how you drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we have the grid set for this evening's action. Chris Severa going to be qualified on the pole with Josh Schaffner on the outside pole. Kenny Powell going to be starting in third place with Randy Mullins starting fourth. Fifth place going to be Don Avery, with sixth place being Alan Henson. Seventh place is Wes Dobbs. Eighth place, of course, belonging to Kendall Levron. Ninth place, Darren Mullins. And rounding out our top 10 is Joey Preby.
Derek Jacobs in P11. Jose Acosta in 12th. And Gary Adamson rounds out this 13-car field.
Definitely excited to see how this turns out tonight, Big Al. I mean, we got some really star-studded casts, I'd say, on the front row. And, these guys are going to battle it out. They're on the same team, but, of course, those G&G guys always race each other pretty hard.
Well, we got a lot of racing to do. So I think it's just going to be a matter of I think the G&G guys definitely came here tonight with a good setup. Looks like they've done their diligence, and they are ready to try to dominate this thing. But I think we're going to have a lot of other factors that come into play here, Brian. So that's going to make it even more exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I mean, I don't think it's just going to be the G&G guys that are going to be showing up here tonight. I mean, we got Randy Mullins. He's been showing significant speed the last few weeks. Joey Preby always has got good speed. Sometimes does show a little bit of aggression, but he's always fast, I'll tell you that. And Jose Acosta, I mean, he had a heck of a run last week, if I'm not mistaken. Second place, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or third. No, it was third. I'm sorry.
Third place, yep.
And, he's been showing some significant speed. I mean, he almost even had the ability to maybe even win the race last week. We'll have to see what what he has for them tonight. I mean, of course, as I mentioned before, this is a track that really burns the tires up quite substantially. So I think these guys are really going to have to keep an eye on that. Don't push too hard, even though the car might be handling really good. You don't want to really push it.
No, you're definitely going to have to race your own pace. I mean, you cannot get caught up in trying to run with everybody else. Now, we did see that on Thursday night as well. Some guys got out there, they started running hard early, and it was their own detriment. This pace car is now off in a way. I think we're getting ready to go racing, and that's got to be pretty exciting because even though we only got 12, 13 cars in this field here tonight, I mean, there's a lot of points on the line early in the season, but still, I mean, guys are going to be trying to make hay while the sun's shining. I'll quote you for once.
That's right, 100%. Of course, pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to get the call for the green flag here in the Sundrop 200. And what a refreshing beverage that appears to be. I mean, it definitely takes us way back.
Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, man. I'm a Sundrop kid because I'm from Carolina. And even here in Alabama where I live, Sundrop still king. I can't screw with the Sundrop now because Big Al's a diabetic, so kind of got to play safe now. But Chris Severa isn't, and he's getting ready to get sweet on the throttle as the pace car is going to be down and away here pretty shortly, and we will be getting ready to take that green flag.
Yep, that we will. There goes the pace car taking the left turn, and the green flag will be out and away. Chris Severa not jumping it very much there. He kind of waited until the green came out. Schaffner still side by side for the lead, and they're going to be battling out drag racing as they get to the backstretch, and Schaffner has the advantage.
Yeah, and that's just going to let you know that I don't think Chris is going to push it too hard here tonight. I think right now he knows exactly what pace he's got to run. Now, Schaffner, being a winner here on this track, he has something to prove because he's going to want to get back out there and show that he can actually duplicate that because he needs to get a win in the books here. But 54 of Randy Mullins here, a little bit on the outside. He's trying to get everything going as he is up in the fourth place, Brian, and we are clean and green.
Yeah, that we are. Definitely still single file.
Don Avery gets into Randy Mullins, and he goes hard into the wall. That definitely is going to be something that you're going to have to see on the replay. Not sure what caused it to happen, but definitely going to end the day of Randy Mullins. I'm telling you, if this was real live racing, I don't think he would have made it, Brian.
Yeah, there probably would have been a fight afterwards if he did make it, though. Let's take a look back at this incident and see exactly what happened. See Don Avery getting a good run. I think Mullins got loose in front of him.
Wow.
Let's take a look at this. Yeah, I think Mullins just got loose on the exit and just smashed into the
Yeah,
barrels. He is done completely.
looks like Derek Jacobs also getting in contact with him there. So Randy Mullins and Jose Acosta both receiving a meatball flag, which means they're going to have required repairs. Not the way I expected this race to start. I mean, I just commented on us being clean and green, and wow, nothing Derek Jacobs could do there. And Jose Acosta also getting caught up in the melee. Just an unfortunate set of circumstances for some quality drivers that were here actually trying to make a dent in it, Brian. But you know what? That is going to advance everybody one step further. Oh, just a bad ride for Jose, man.
Yeah, that was just awful. Seeing it from the cockpit camera there, Jose, nothing he could have did either.
Yeah.
Had to take a tow. I mean, that is going to really clear this field out quite a bit. I mean, just considering the damage that was probably just paid out. I think Derek Jacobs still on the lead lap, though, but Jose Acosta is a lap down.
Yeah, and Randy Mullins and Jose Acosta both are going to be done for a while. Jose's car both being trashed on both sides. The same thing with Mullins. I hope these guys do shut those engines off, Brian, so they can get some repairs done and hopefully be able to rejoin the field.
I'm pretty sure Mullins is done. I think his engine is out. I mean, just because that kind of hit, that was like just insane the amount of force he hit those barrels.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kind of, like I said, I was just trying to be optimistic. That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I get you. I don't know. I think the doctor's probably walking over there to Mullins right now. Man, that was a rough one.
Randy Mullins, this is Big Al up in the broadcast booth with Brian Britt. You got us, bud?
Yeah, bud, I got you.
I mean, I hate to pull you up here so soon, and I know I didn't even talk to Brian about it, just kind of grabbed you up. What happened?
I was just trying to buy my time. This thing's a little free the first 3-4 laps, and the guys were putting a little pressure on me, so I just picked up the throttle a little sooner than I wanted to, and got free over that bump. And Don was right there, and he barely caught me. Shot me straight into the water barrels. Wasn't nothing I could do.
Well, man, sorry about that. I know that's going to be an unfortunate end for your race here tonight. We got to get back to it, but hopefully we'll talk back to you here a little bit later, bud.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. Glad to have him, and glad that he sounded like he was very calm as we get ready for the pace car to head down pit road. Green flag is going to be waving out again. Josh Shovner catches Chris Severa sleeping.
No, I don't think so. I think he's running his own race here, man. I think he has a plan. And Severa's, he is the Iceman of the night, I guess we'd say. I called Josh Shovner the Iceman on Thursday, but Severa, that dude definitely, he barely has a pulse. So, I mean, definitely going to be the guy to watch it. He was fastest overall in practice. He definitely is kind of in a must-win situation here, because he doesn't want to let Don Avery get out there in the points lead. Glad to see that Avery was actually okay there and actually able to continue his car being fixed of any damages that it might have had. But that's going to make this field that much more competitive because there's only 11 drivers that are in this thing now, and the top 10 are going to get some money here tonight, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'm surprised Avery did get out of that fairly clean, and I wouldn't even blame Avery for that. I mean, he got loose right in front of him, and there was no time to react at all. So I don't think that was anybody's fault, to be honest with you. I think that was just a racing deal, pure and simple. But glad that Avery at least made it out of it. Wes Dobbs, of course, trying to chase him down right now. Kenny Powell has moved up into the second-place position. Chris Severa trying to follow right along there. And, of course, Wes Dobbs up in the top 5. Nice to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Already breaking this field up into two discernible groups. You've got from 1st to 6th place, so that's going to be the 22 of Alan Henson. That's going to be the first group. And then that second group is going to be from Kendall LeBron all the way back to Derek Jacobs. So hopefully that second group, though, will keep the momentum that they need, Brian, as this first stage isn't going to be as long as the second. But these guys are going to want to keep the leaders in sight. Josh Shovner, though, definitely clear it away, sucking all that clean air. Kenny Powell, his G&G teammate, bringing up second place, trying to do everything that he can to keep Shovner within his sights.
Yeah, he definitely is. But Josh Schaffner, as we saw on Thursday, once he got up into the clean air, it was hard to do anything with him. So we'll have to wait and see how this works. I mean, he was masterful about keeping the gap at a certain distance, Big Al, and I think he's going to be pulling that same card out tonight.
Yeah, but one thing I did note, though, earlier, these guys have had plenty of opens to actually run this race, these setups, and figure out what their track speed needs to be per lap. And I just don't know if you should be counting out any of the guys that are in the rear. I think everybody is running their own strategy right now, especially in this first stage. Looks like right now we're going to be at lap 13. Still got a long way to go in this stage, man, but Josh Schaffner definitely seems to have it mastered right now, Brian.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I was watching on board there with Chris Severa as Don Avery's actually starting to catch up to him. Going to see a little bit of battling here for third place, I do believe, soon.
Yeah, and Avery, your current points leader right now with 2 wins under his belt. He's going to be definitely biding his time, doing everything that he needs to do so that he might be able to advance his points lead, because here's the deal. You called it earlier. You only have to do good in the stages. You don't necessarily have to win the race. The 64 of Darren Mullins getting a little bit loose there, but he is going to advance his position on Gary Adamson. That battle right there is going to be for 9th place.
Yeah, and I know Darren Mullins was actually very fast on Thursday, if I recall correctly. So no wonder he's making his way up through the field. But if I recall, also, I think he was not as good on the longer runs. Now, that caution did help, I'd say, shorten the stage by a little bit, considering the pace laps. But definitely some healthy competition out here on the racetrack, as even Derek Jacobs right there in the battle, of course, for the top 10.
One thing, too, that these guys don't actually get a chance to do is hard to replicate what you're going to get here in the ISCA, because even if you're running those opens, I mean, there's going to be cautions. One thing that we really don't see a lot of here, just because the caliber of races that we get, that's cautions. So these guys, you actually have to set your car up to be able to run that full 45 laps right here in that stage. So I'm hoping that Mullins would have made the adjustments necessary in order to get those long runs here tonight.
Tell you what, I've been very impressed with the 72 speed here. Wes Dobbs is starting to run down Don Avery. But what I'm kind of starting to notice, which I suspected was on Thursday, is dirty air is really a menace at a track like this. It's so high banked and so fast and so bumpy. You already don't have a whole lot of grip. And when you're in the dirty air and you lose downforce, that makes it even worse. I mean, when we ride on board with these guys, Big Al, you see how much the track is so bumpy. I mean, that is like the enemy of downforce, or lack of downforce, I should say.
Yeah, one driver definitely experiencing the woes right there was Alan Henson. For whatever reason, he was one of the slowest cars on that lap.
It seems like he is definitely not handling as good as he'd probably prefer to right now.
Yeah, definitely he has got his hands full right now, Brian, as he is slowly falling off the pace. So I think if you're looking at the laps right now, we're just about halfway through this stint. And that's about the time you're going to see the cars fall off on their handling. And, and if you're looking at the field, it's really starting to spread out now. So guys definitely probably going to be wanting to get this first stage over and out of the way so they can go in there and make whatever adjustments that are necessary. The track temperature now all the way up to 101 degrees. Remember, it was at 96 degrees during qualifying. Drivers did say that the track was getting hotter, so there it is. That wind is still out of the southeast at 9 miles an hour, but a hot track right now is probably going to be to the detriment of all of these guys' setups.
100%. I think we're seeing, Alan Henson seems like he's recovering, though. Lap times last time by was not the worst. Of course, Kendall LeVron in 7th place definitely is starting to catch him. But you're right, though. This track is getting hotter, Big Al, and that's going to create even more problems on this racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you look at Henson's times, the only 2 drivers that are slower than him right now on the racetrack is Gary Adamson back in 10th and Derek Jacobs back in 11th. And so if he can't figure out how to get something worked out here the next couple laps, Brian, I think he's going to possibly find himself slipping all the way back to 9th place here before this thing is over.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because Kendall LeBron is definitely reeling him in. And as well, looking at lap times for Wes Dobbs, not too fast there. So something's going on with those drivers, maybe an adjustment needed, just considering, I mean, they've probably been racing the A Opens, and we talk about this time and time again about the 75% fuel in these cars that is featured in this series, and that does throw a wrench in some of the pace. Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
It makes a difference. And that's one of the reasons why I do believe this series is going to be going to a longer tank, a larger fuel capacity, as Don Avery just makes a little bit of contact with the wall. Not a big deal there, but, you know, it adds up. I was in the Army with a guy named Barnett, and he would touch you, and he'd say, I just took 5 seconds off your life. It's not much, but it adds up. Yeah, that's a true story.
Yeah. Definitely a very interesting story, Big Al, but 100%. I mean, you know, and we saw a lot of contact with the wall on Thursday as well. I mean, that thing comes up quick here at this track.
Yeah, it does add up. Drivers don't, you know, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but each little contact that you make is going to cause, you know, just that much of a difference. And even Jose Acosta commented last week saying that it actually adjusted the direction that he was holding the stern wheel.
Yeah, he said it helped him somewhat there.
Yeah.
You see some heavy racing right here from Don Avery. We watched through the cockpit camera. And look at the speeds these guys get in the straightaways. I mean, it was 160 from Don Avery there. That is fast around Rockingham.
Yeah, and you see Don Avery's also running a 4th gear setup, so he is going to be trying to get down to the inside, where we noticed on Thursday night, guys that are running the 5th gear setups are kind of actually able to get a better run on the high side. But Avery might not be able to get by these guys. I mean, even if he gets by Severa, he's still going to have to deal with Powell.
And Severa going up to the top of the track a little bit there himself, so he's been exploring a little bit around the racetrack as he is now starting to put some pressure on Kenny Powell. Powell seems like he may have burnt his tires up.
Yeah, Alan Henson is beginning his descent. Kendall LeBron just made it by him. And now he is going to have Joey Preby that's going to be coming up. And he is going to be wanting to get his way around him as well.
And you know what? This is so great for Kendall LeBron. I hope this race continues to go this way for him, just considering the bad luck he had last week. I mean, just no wrong place, wrong time, getting in an accident with Chris Severa. And, you know, you hate to see that. You know, he's one that seems to have a lot of bad luck. But hopefully he can turn it around, Big Al. I really am hoping for it. And as you mentioned before, Wes Dobbs, Alan Henson, kind of battling it out right now. Joey Preby right there in the mix. Of course, this is for, I do believe, 6th and 7th and 8th.
Yeah, absolutely. Dobbs is going to be trying to make his way around Alan Henson. That battle is going to be for 6th place. And at that point, Henson's really going to have to figure out what's going on, because
Henson's up to 6th right now. This is Wes Dobbs that's being challenged by Joey Preby. Alan Henson moved up to 6th, and Wes Dobbs still able to fight him off, or Joey Preby off on the top. But it looks like it's not going to be enough. Joey Preby does take over the 7th place position, so he is well on his way to try to work his way through this field. Of course, he does have quite a bit of distance to go, 9 seconds up to the leader. But I'll tell you what, even 2nd place, Big Al has a lot of distance to go up to get to the leader. Josh Schaffner's over 3 seconds away.
We saw that lead diminish earlier. Now, the one thing, though, they're going to be catching up on Derek Jacobs here pretty soon. He is going to be the first driver to go a lap down. That's going to happen here within stage 1. Here comes Chris Severa. He is going to be challenging Kenny Powell for P2. Looks like he is dragging Don Avery with him as well. Powell's car seeming to have had better days. Oh, Severa pedaling it through the turn.
Yeah, he tried to get back to the gas too soon. Car lost grip, side by side, even verging on maybe a possible 3-wide scenario, Big Al. We've seen it happen, and it's rare. It's doable.
Yeah, but Don Avery not actually able to make it stick. Looks like his car was just a little bit loose as well.
Yeah, definitely a hard fight right now for 2nd place, as Kenny Powell tries to maybe battle back and gets to the inside.
Yeah, he is not going to relinquish P2 without a fight. But there it goes, almost 3 wide as Avery puts his nose in there right there where he thinks it belongs. He's going to push Severa up high on the wall. Now Powell's going to follow suit. Avery going to be doing everything he can to make it stick on the bottom line.
I'm noticing a tight condition from Kenny Powell right now. He is very, very tight. Look, contact with the wall from the 24.
Yeah, that's because Avery pushed way up onto him there, talking about tight. Not getting the rotation that he was expecting through the turn as him and Kenny Powell continue to battle.
And you know who's coming because of all this battling? Kendall Levrant's not that far back. He can see these guys now, and because they're continuing to battle, I think he might catch up. Kendall Levrant having a great race, but I want to go back to, there's Derek Jacobs. He has now went a lap down. I want to go back to when we were talking about Chris Severa a little bit. He, before the race, actually mentioned that he was trying to loosen the car up as much as he can. He said the car seemed like it was turning tight for him. He loves a loose car, so I think that's why he's not having this tight condition that the rest of these guys are having right now.
Yeah, because everybody is as tight as, you know, I'm going to be quiet because I get myself in trouble. But
Kenny Powell sideways! No caution, but almost.
He had to throttle through the turn there, Brian.
And he comes up to block Kendall. Kendall's going to go low, though. And I think he, side by side now for this 4th place position. And it looks like Kendall does possibly have the pass almost complete. Kenny still trying to battle him on the high side.
Yeah, Kenny's not going to relinquish it too much, but he's experiencing that tight car, and that's exactly what was going on there.
I still want to look back and see what happened with Kenny and Don Avery there, but I think there's stuff going on.
Well, yeah, we only have 4 laps to go here before this. Well, yeah, before this stage is in the books. Kenny Powell slipping all the way back down to 5th place, you know, falling from 2nd. So he is definitely going to be wanting this stage to get over as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I'm going to assume he's going to be wanting to put a ton of adjustments into that race car, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I don't know. Considering it just not handling well on the longer run, it does appear.
Well, did I tell you that the track temp's all the way up to 103 degrees right now? So, I mean, 96 at qualifying. Now we're all the way up to 103 degrees. It's high noon here. So exactly what we speculated was going to happen is actually occurred. And these drivers are going to have to kind of work through it. As Gary Adamson is battling Wes Dobbs, this is going to be for 9th place.
Yeah, for more stage points. They're battling for more stage points right now. Gary Adamson has been another one of the most improved drivers we've seen, you know.
But this is going to work out in his favor because he's actually getting ready to pick up a stage point, you know, and 2 is way better than 1 because that's twice as many, you know, so that's what he's racing for. But I'm going to tell you who is racing away with this. That's Josh Schaffner. His lead now 4.6 seconds over P2 Chris Severa. So looks like the Iceman is the Iceman, and he remaineth the Iceman. So I might have spoke too soon there, crowning Chris Severa as the Iceman. It looks like Josh Schaffner still making it happen out here tonight, Brian.
Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, he's got quite a substantial lead right now, almost 5 seconds on Chris Severa. We'll have to wait and see if Chris Severa can make some type of adjustment to possibly keep up with Schaffner. But Schaffner, he has experience. You know what I mean? I know Chris probably, I don't think he's been racing really all week. So, I mean, I'm not to say that he's bad, but I think that Schaffner just has more experience this week.
Yeah, and Don losing P3 to Kendall Levrant. Levrant now, like you said, having an excellent run. He gets by Don Avery, but Avery still trying to battle just a little bit as Alan Henson rolls up on the Kenny Powell as well. Ooh, Jose Acosta back onto the race surface. Thank
Glad
goodness.
to see that. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we do want to congratulate Josh Schaffner for winning stage number 1. Excellent work to him. Chris Severa, of course, gets 2nd place. 3rd place, Kendall Levrant. Awesome run for him. 4th place, Don Avery. 5th, Kenny Powell. 6th, Alan Henson. 7th, Joey Preby. 8th, Darren Mullins. 9th, Wes Dobbs. And 10th, Gary Adamson. Those are your top 10 points-paying positions. We'll be right back after a short commercial break, and we'll talk to Josh Schaffner. What do you think, Big Al?
Hey, sounds like a plan to me, boss.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy, and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
'Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun drop.
That's how you drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined in the booth by our Stage 1 winner, able to win the race off of pit road as well. Josh, I mean, you look like a monster out there. How are you feeling? That car must be feeling amazing.
Yeah, car feels good. It was nice to just get out front there and just set my pace and be able to kind of just control the race a little bit and be able to manage my tires and the pace. And yeah, it worked out good. I was able to pull out a pretty good lead there, but I'm sure those guys are making adjustments. I'm sure they'll continue to get better too.
100%. Now, I see the heat has been steadily rising, a lot like what you saw on Thursday. How are you going to try to keep up with that?
Yeah, I guess looking back to Thursday, I think that'll play in my advantage. I learned a lot on Thursday night. We ran in some higher track temperatures than we had all week in the A Open, and yeah, I think you're just kind of understanding your pace and the lines with the high heat and being consistent lap to lap. I think that's going to be the key. Is you just gotta hit your marks, hit your line here, and kind of just gotta be a robot. That's kind of what it takes to be faster over a long run.
100%. Well, definitely excellent work to you for sure on leading almost every lap there of that run. Good luck to you, and can't wait to see what the future holds. Who can we give a shout out to before we let you get back to the job you got to do out there?
Yeah, no, just want to thank you guys and the guys at G&G and Pioneer Smith Farms, and just appreciate their support, and looking forward to Stage 2 here.
All right, for sure. Well, good luck to you for sure, and we'll see you hopefully a little bit later.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Al.
Alrighty, that was Josh Schaffner, our Stage 1 winner. Looks like we're getting them doubled up and getting ready to go once again. Interested to see how this stage is going to look. It's going to be a little bit longer, too, considering we're going to be going to 105, which means I do believe 55 laps of racing here, Big Al.
Yeah, it looks like the temperature is also going to be headed to 105. So Josh Schaffner, though, is going to be probably my favorite here because he definitely has this car figured out for the long run, advancing his lead all the way through that series.
Yeah, he led almost every lap there for sure.
But the good thing about it is, Brian, if there's anybody out here that's going to give him competition, I mean, it's going to be the 62 of Severa. But don't forget about the 11 of Avery. Now, Avery probably made the necessary adjustments that he needed to make it. He is no slouch. Josh Schaffner now leads us here. Green flag is out, and we are back to racing. And Kendall LeBron loose into the wall, and that's going to send Mullins also sliding. Not going to be good right there. Green flag still out. The 65 of Joey Preby still kind of strung out on the racetrack. Not going to be in his favor. He's going to be trying to get that car back under the way. Josh Schaffner now being battled by Chris Severa for the lead.
And just, wow. What an accident right there, Big Al. I mean, goodness. I mean, Kendall just cannot catch a break, it does appear, and just got onto the gas too hard, saw some wheel spin, and, of course, that also hurt Joey Preby's race.
Now, Kendall LeBron now finding himself coming down pit road. Not sure if he's just parking it or if he's arcing it, but he's going to have to figure something out, Brian, because if he gets back out there and keeps racing, he's still going to find himself in a position to make points. That's the big thing here that we got to focus on. It's the points window. It's not necessarily about what's going on lap for lap. It's about the big picture.
100%. Yeah, I mean, hopefully his damage is not too severe.
Well,
Hopefully he's able to.
He did not have a meatball flag, so he should be able to continue. Josh Schaffner, though, out now getting that clean air advantage, out there where he wants to be. This is what he said. He wanted to get out front. He wanted to be able to control the tempo of the race, and that's what he's doing. Now, Don Avery, I think at this point, based on what I saw in that last stage, Brian, I think Avery is going to have to try to get around Severa sooner than later, because this track isn't proven to be easy to pass later on in the run. When this run gets later on and we're over halfway on that tire sequence, what we're seeing is these cars are getting really, really tight. Now the track temp's all the way up to 105 degrees here. Remember, it was only 96 at qualifying.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good point. And, it does seem like these guys are getting a lot tighter than they were, I'd say, previously for sure. We'll have to see how they're able to manage that. I mean, I think I would want to be fighting for track position to get out there in that clean air. And I think a lot of that's what the 62 probably has in mind, as well as the 11. They want to get up there and challenge Josh, take that advantage that he has, because his car's handling well in the clean air. They want to put him in the dirty air and see what that does to him.
Yeah, and the big thing, too, is the lead four. They're out there, and they're running their own race, man. They're doing their own thing, and they're not even, the remainder of the field can't even see these guys. So that's something else to keep in mind as we get ready to go to that third and longest stage. Right now, something has got to give. These guys are they've got to be concerned that so early in this stage, only 8 laps in, that they're seeing such a discernible difference. And here comes Don Avery as he's going to best Chris Severa and move himself up into P2.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what the reason the field is so spread out, I think it was because of the restart with Kendall LeBron, kind of hitting the gas and spinning the tires. That really broke the field up quite a bit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian, and you're 100% correct on that. But the good thing is these guys got to have a short memory. They do have another stage break that's going to come up, and it's going to actually level this thing out.
100%.
Right now, the 65 of Joey Freebie is just hoping that he can continue doing what he's doing and stay on the lead lap, because the one thing he doesn't need to compound his problems is being put a lap down, because there's no guarantee that he's even going to get the lucky dog, because Kendall LeBron right now being shown 7 laps down. Jose Acosta is actually off the racetrack again. He's actually not out there. Not sure what that's about. So it looks like everybody that's racing is going to get paid tonight.
Yeah, it does appear that way. Top 10 all are still on the lead lap, so the race definitely not over. And Joey Preeby, as you mentioned, trying to fight and hold on to that lead lap. And I think he should be able to do it. I hope so, at least. He's still got a long way to go. But I don't think he got too much damage in that accident. But he did probably slide the tires, and that's something you don't want to do here at Rockingham, as Josh Schaffner still remains in the lead. But Don Avery, he has got a lot of willpower right now. He is willing his way closer and closer to the 50.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. But the big thing, too, that you got to understand, unfortunately for Preeby, he is going to feel more pressure from Schaffner just because Schaffner is feeling more pressure from Avery.
That's a good point.
Where Josh was actually able to kind of lay off a little bit, he's not going to have that luxury now, because Don Avery has one thing on his mind, and that's getting by Josh Schaffner. So Schaffner's kind of playing a little bit of cat and mouse. He is actually being chased, and I think that's definitely going to alter his pace as well as his perception here throughout this stage.
Yeah, he's going to be that much more, like you said, really wanting to get by Joey Preeby, just considering the pressure you said about Don Avery right there on him. And I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, Josh Schaffner usually is not the one that folds to pressure, though. I'll tell you that.
That's why I dubbed him the Iceman.
Still kind of battling a little bit further back here. Darren Mullins and Gary Adamson for 5th and 6th. Of course, they are quite a distance back from our 4th place position. Kenny Powell about almost 4 seconds back, to be exact. Taking a look more at the lap times here. You can definitely tell the top 4 are much faster than 5th on back. About 2/10 faster to be exact between the differences in times here. Top 4 are essentially in the 24.3 range, while 7th or 5th, 6th, 7th, they're more in the 24.5 to 26 range. And you even see Alan Henson 24.899. Quite a slow lap there. Of course, Wes Dobbs is even in the 25-second range. I'm almost feeling like, did they get any damage in that whole ordeal earlier? Possibly. I don't think Kendall got into anybody else, but then again, I don't know what's going on, or could have been adjustments that just did not go the right way, Big Al.
Yeah, and I think it might be the latter or combination of the two, Brian, because, you know, it doesn't make sense. It's really early on into this stint. They're only 20 laps on their equipment. This was about the time that we did see the biggest degradation in tire wear in the previous stage, so maybe that has something to do with it, or it could be a combination of the two. But right now, I definitely do believe, though, these guys are going to have to really go back to the drawing board because they're not going to be able to afford to lose that much pace this early on in the stage.
100%. You mentioned it before, it's been 21 laps now since these guys last pitted. Of course, this is going to be the longest run of the race right here. 55 laps. And, of course, in stage number 3 will not be quite as long, which is kind of surprising. Still, definitely a long race here tonight for these guys. I believe that all of them are probably going to be pretty wore out by the end of this one, Big Al.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing, too, that kind of adds to that is you don't get the opportunity of having a lot of caution. So outside of the stage breaks, these guys are definitely going to be dialed in. And a track that's as bumpy as this track, you know, with some of these guys using direct force feedback, yeah, it's definitely going to make for a long evening. Joey Preby, though, having an extremely long evening, is in his rearview mirror. He is starting to see the leaders start to approach upon him, and that cannot make him feel good at all.
No, definitely not at all. Josh Schaffner is closing in very, very quickly right now. We do see a little bit of battling further back as Alan Henson and Wes Dobbs, of course, teammates, are battling each other here, or not really battling each other, but definitely trying to work their way forward. Definitely looks like their pace has increased a little bit here since we last looked at them. But Josh Schaffner, we saw that Don Avery was really putting pressure on him. No longer. Schaffner starting to pull away once again. I think that's the advantage for them new tires. And and I would want to catch Joey Preby and not have a lot of pressure on me. And I think this is great for Josh.
And, you know, another thing, too, think about what happened in that last stage. This is about the time where Schaffner's car just kind of came into its own. This is when he was really starting to not only feel himself, Brian, but he started to pull away to show the distance between him and the other guys. And he said he was counting on those guys to go back and make some adjustments to maybe make this thing a little bit closer. Well, I don't know if he made any adjustments himself, but I think he learned a whole lot, man. And just like that, the track temp, it's now 106 degrees, Brian.
Yeah, continuing to go up, and definitely crazy to see that. As Schaffner is going to soon start to get some of the dirty air off of Joey Preby's car. So Preby, I guarantee you, he is sweating right now as we're getting ready to have, I do believe, 35 laps to go here shortly. Sorry, yeah, 35.
Yeah, be 30. Should be 30 laps.
I think you are right. Yeah, my math is that's that South Carolina math, ladies and gentlemen.
It's okay, man.
Chris Severa, though, starting to reel in Don Avery, try to see if he can't challenge for that second place position. Remember, Don Avery was trending towards the tight side, and looking at him right now, it looks like he's starting to trend that way again, Big Al.
But the biggest difference here is he's not trying to pass Severa. Severa's got to get around him. So as long as Avery can continue to run his, just like that, he gets real tight. Brian goes down below the commitment line. And, or maybe he did just let Severa go. I'm not sure. Not sure what happened there. We'll have to talk to Mr. Avery and figure that one out.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick step back, see exactly what happened. I think he might have gotten loose here. Yeah, just a little bit of a loose condition there on exit.
Yeah, you know, and Another thing that does affect the way these cars handle, even though they have that rear diffuser, when a car's coming up on you like that, it definitely can affect the way your car is handling. So Avery definitely getting it back under wraps right now, and he's gonna. I'm hoping that he can actually stay out ahead of Kenny Powell. That'll give him 2 podiums, and that's going to equal a good payday right there in itself. Now Powell. Really, well, here comes Powell around on Avery. He looks like he is going to get by with no problems, and he is definitely going to need to get back up because remember, he had a very unfortunate set of circumstances at the end of that last stage, Brian.
Look at that. Joey Preby putting the car in between him and Josh Schaffner. Schaffner is starting to really catch up here to Preby. Preby gets by Derek Jacobs, and he's going to take over 9th here. Jacobs now has gone 1 lap down.
Now, that's the best thing that Preby could do right there because what that's going to do is that's going to give him the advantage of getting the lucky dog, and he's not going to have to sit around and wait on a wave around. You know, and that's the biggest thing that he had to do. He just had to pass Derek Jacobs. Now, there's going to be other cars, too, that are going to come into the fray here. Maybe not in this stage, but before this thing is over because, I mean, there's a tremendous pace difference between the guys that are running up front and the guys that aren't.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's, Joey Preby's going to probably end up going a lap down here in this stage. He'll probably get it back. But I think maybe in that final stage, Wes Dobbs might go a lap down. And the thing is, when you put the green flag pit stop into it, that makes it completely different. I'm sorry?
Say that one more again.
I said I think Wes Dobbs might go a lap down.
The green flag pit stop.
Exactly. Yeah, I said that's going to be the variable that is going to probably put more of these guys a lap down because you got to be really careful getting down on pit road, and you got to be really careful you don't lose too much time.
Absolutely, Brian, and that's the one thing that these guys probably haven't been able to practice. But and that's the thing too that people don't understand. If you're not practicing pitting, I mean that's like going golfing but not practicing putting. Everybody goes to the driving range and they just want to hit it as hard and long as they can. Guys, that's not gonna be where you need to be practicing. You need to be practicing putting. You need to be practicing pitting. And I'm going to sit here and preach a sermon on it because we're going to see exactly how many people are going to do good by it.
No, you're right. I mean, we talk about it. You always say, you race for show, you pit for dough, and the putting is where that's one of the most important parts of the game. I mean, with the actual driving stuff, you try to get it closer to the green, but when you go to putt, that's the little thing. If you can't putt, you're not going to get it in the hole.
Yeah, excellence is the basics mastered. So, I mean, that's one of the things that, drivers have to master because if you cannot pit, Brian, I mean, you're not going to win. We've seen it time and time again where drivers lose races on pit road. Right now, 85 laps of 200 in the books, just going to be just under 20 laps before we bring this thing in for stage 2. But stage 2 has been about the same as stage 1. The only difference is right now, looks like Chris Severa is closing the gap on Josh Schaffner. Schaffner now pulls up onto the keister of Preby.
And I think I know exactly why this is happening. I mean, Josh Schaffner's in the dirty air of the 65 right now, and it is causing that car to tighten up a little bit.
Derek Jacobs down on pit road, not sure exactly what he's doing. Maybe he is just out of his comfort zone there, but with almost 40 laps on his equipment. I hope that he will actually remain in the race as Schaffner now best Preby. Severa going to be trying to get around Preby as fast as possible so that way he can continue to gain momentum on Josh Schaffner.
Yeah, looks like, yep. Oh, the 62 shoves it in. Little contact with the 65 there.
Yeah, just a little bit of contact just goes to show just how tight Chris Severa's car is getting, and I don't know if that's going to actually help or hinder him as he remains on his quest to reel in the 50 of Josh Schaffner.
Yeah, I think a lot of the reason why that happened was, Chris Severa was desperate to keep that gap that he had gained on Josh Schaffner. And he didn't want to lose that because of Joey Preby and dived it in really deep, overdrove a little bit, slid up. And, we saw exactly what happened. And, of course, he didn't lose a ton of that gap. He's still about a little over half a second back from Schaffner here. But look at the gap, Big Al, between Chris Severa and Don Avery. These two are on another planet compared to everybody else.
Yeah, and then Powell is actually starting to fall back just a little bit from Avery. So it just makes you wonder if these guys did make adjustments. Maybe they dialed it in the wrong way. Track temp now all the way up to 108 degrees, and that does play into this. Now these cars are going to be heavy, hot with a long iteration of laps on their tires. Rubber's building up on the racetrack. Looks like we really only have one definitive groove here, and that's what everybody's trying to kind of stay in. But it looks like it's just going to be a survival of the fittest here, Brian.
And look at this, though. Alan Henson is caught up to Gary Adamson, is going to take over 6th place. What a race. What a drive from the 22. I think this is one of his best races we've seen him in so far. That 22, of course, looks slow in some portions of the run, but I think he's doing really good at saving the tires and has come on a little bit stronger here late in the run. Of course, there goes Wes Dobbs. He just gets by the 36 of Adamson, so that's going to relegate Adamson back to the 8th place position. Darren Mullins is, like you mentioned, starting to catch Kenny Powell, as Powell has been falling off, has been turning tight all race long. And I think you're right. I think they might have went into the wrong direction. So back to the drawing board, maybe to redo those adjustments if they did make any. Josh Schaffner once again starting to pull away on Chris Severa, lap 93 now. And I do believe next time by, 12 laps to go on the stage.
And I'm going to tell you, those 12 laps could not come soon enough for a lot of drivers out here on the track, Brian. Everybody seems to be feeling the effects of this very heated track here and these extended runs. Now, track temp's 109 degrees. I don't think he's going to be cooling down. I think it's going to be going up, as it is approximately 12:54 in sim. So, these guys got a long way to go, and they got a lot of things that they got to take into contention. But one thing Josh Schaffner is really not having to contend with, that's dirty air. And I'm wondering if he does not get a smooth pit transition and he does fall back in the dirty air, how much that's going to affect his setup.
Well, I think it is going to affect him a lot, Big Al, because, we kind of saw it already present, whenever Josh Schaffner caught up to Preeby and Derek Jacobs. We saw him slow down. So I think that definitely will affect his setup. We'll have to wait and see. I think he's going to definitely be wanting to get a gap built up enough in that 3rd stage to where whenever he does have to do a green flag pit stop, he won't really have to deal with dirty air.
So what's the strategy going into the 3rd stage while we still got just a little bit of time to talk about this? Do you try to drag race these guys early on, make them burn their equipment up? Because I think that kind of works in its own favor if you think about it. Or do you just kind of get out there and try to save your equipment and hope to get a run later on? Because somebody's going to have to lead, if you will, in the dance that's called the 3rd stage.
Yeah, and I think Josh Schaffner is going to try his best to keep that lead. We'll have to wait and see. But I think, it's definitely worth a while to kind of save the tires early and then, get after them a little bit later in the run. I think that's exactly what kind of Darren Mullins has done so far. And he is now caught up to Kenny Powell, so the race is on for this 4th place position. So I like what I'm seeing from the 64. I think he's got the right idea.
But I'm asking that, does Schaffner, does he go out there and does he, run?
I think he does exactly what he's been doing. Lead every lap. Just try to lead as many laps as you can and split it in half. That's what I would do if I was Schaffner. I would not try to – if you let Chris go by you, you may never get by him again.
But you remember when this thing started, Avery was behind Schaffner and then Powell. And it's almost like Schaffner drug Avery to wear his tires out. And look at the difference between him and Avery right now. Severa was kind of slacking off. Yeah, Severa was kind of hanging out in the back running its own pace. But so I'm just wondering, is maybe that Schaffner, maybe that's his strategy. Go ahead and drag these guys, make them burn their equipment up early on and just kind of put the distance on later on. But we're halfway through this thing now, Brian, and 4 laps before this stage is in the books.
I think you're right. I think you made an excellent point just now, Big Al. Josh Schaffner, we've seen him. He tries to keep the gap at a second. He did that on Thursday religiously, it seemed like, to where he was kind of like teasing these guys. You know what I mean? Like making them want to battle harder. Oh, I'm catching him. Oh, I'm catching him. Make him think that he'll burn his stuff up more. And I think Schaffner's playing mind games with these guys. I love it. Here comes Kenny Powell. Powell tried to fight back, but it looks like Mullins, does take over fourth place.
Yeah, you called it. You said Darren Mullins was reeling in Kenny Powell, and that's exactly what happened with just 4 laps ago here in this stage. I'm wondering here, how does that look for Don Avery? Because Mullins is definitely on a little bit of a run, and his lap times are some 0.4 of a second faster than that of the 11 Don Avery.
I'm telling you, we're seeing a new age right now. I mean, just considering Darren Mullins has been really just putting in fantastic performance after fantastic performance. I mean, him and his son and that whole team there has really just been. It's almost like they, I don't know, woke up one day and they was like, we're gonna be setting these guys on fire and sending a message to everybody, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean. And we talked about that too before this season started. That it is shots have been fired across the bow, baby. I mean this whole series is getting a lot more competitive. It's not just one team dominated like it had been in the past. And there's going to be even more teams coming into contention here as the white flag is out here on this stage, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, within the top 5 right now, I do believe 3 different teams are represented. I mean, you got Triad with Don Avery. Of course, G&G right now, 1 and 2. So they got to be really happy about that for sure. But definitely the competition is not lacking. I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, you got, especially in the Thursday series as well. I mean, all over in the ISCA, we definitely want to foster the most amount of competition that we can.
Absolutely, man. This stage right here is going to be in the books here really shortly. And wow, what a story it reads on the headlines. Schaffner dominates stage 1 and 2 at Rockingham.
Yeah, he's led almost every lap thus far. I think the only lap he didn't lead was the first one.
Absolutely. Still waiting on that caution to come out. Put this stage officially in the books.
Yeah, I do believe a little bit late on the caution there, but it has come out. Josh Schaffner, your stage 2 winner. Chris Severe, of course, 2nd place. Don Avery in 3rd. Darren Mullins 4th. 5th place, Kenny Powell. 6th place, Alan Henson. 7th, Wes Dobbs. 8th, Gary Adamson. 9th, Joey Preby, 1 lap down. 10th, Derek Jacobs, 5 laps down. And look, I do believe Derek Jacobs is still out there racing, but definitely what a stage, though. And it looks like we're going to be starting stage 3 not too long from now. But let's take another brief step away, Big Al, and come right back and we'll talk to whoever you want to talk to.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And drop it.
'Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun drop.
That's how you drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I do believe we're going to be joined in the booth by Chris Severa in the 62. And just as yet, I do believe Josh Schaffner with a penalty possibly. He is falling through the field. Big Al standing by there with Chris Severa.
Hey, Chris, this Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, congratulations on your second place finish here for stage 2. So let me ask you a question directly. What's it going to take to get around that 5-0 Schaffner here tonight?
Clean air. I mean, you
So,
just can't do anything once you're within a second of a guy.
so clean air is the biggest factor here tonight. Looks like you might have been gifted the lead here.
No,
I think
we got
he is
Avery,
not.
yeah.
He has got. Did you get a
Uh,
penalty? I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Big Al.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, you continue your interview. I just was trying to interject and saying I think he got a penalty.
So definitely, so track position, clean air is the thing. What are you going to be looking forward to doing here in this third stage? Are you going to try to like get yourself on a different pit strategy? What do you got going on here?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's a lot of off throttle time here, so we'll see if we can do something. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm probing trying to get one of those Severa. I want to get that inside scoop because we're going to be watching you to see exactly how you're going to dig yourself out of this. I understand you got a lot going on, boss. I'm going to let you go here, but before I let you go, you want to give a mini shout out to anybody before you get back at it?
Just everyone gets and go, and you guys, as always, for a fantastic broadcast.
All right. Hey, good luck to you, Chris, and hopefully we'll talk to you at the end of this thing.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I do apologize, Big. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just extremely confused as what was going on. While we were talking to Chris Severa, he kept going on and off pit road multiple times, and of course, Josh Schaffner got a penalty, I do believe, as well. So this is changing everything, Big Al. Big Al, Don Avery's in the lead.
Now, is it Brian, or are these guys coming back down pit road, putting fuel in and
maybe.
run it out? I mean, that everybody's tight-lipped. Avery now got the field off in a way here. Green flag is back out. Darren Mullins up to second place. Gary Adamson going way high on the racetrack as Kenny Powell reels around in third place, trying to put it back together. Almost 3 wide. Going to be 3 wide right here with Schaffner on the inside.
Schaffner desperate to get his track position back. Dives it in 3 wide. He does get by, I do believe, Alan Henson there. Now side by side with Wes Dobbs. The race is flipped upside down, Big Al. This has just got my mind blown a little bit.
You're going to be all right. It's all going to come back into focus. I think a lot of drivers right now are just going to be running their own individual strategy. Schaffner trying to get back out front because he understands the best way to make these passes is early in the stage when his tires are fresh. As now he's going to be coming up on the back of his G&G teammate Kenny Powell in the 24. Powell going to be taking the inside chop, trying to be run around the outside, but I think he's going to be crossed back over on the inside here as it come into turn 3. Schaffner still pushing around the outside, trying to get around his teammate Powell. Powell giving it everything he has, but these cars handle like a laser here, Brian, when the tires are fresh. Now
yeah,
Powell
they do. I mean, a lot of power up on the top side from Josh Schaffner, that's for sure.
Yeah, now Powell got his sight set on the 64, Darren Mullins. Definitely think we understand what Powell's Schaffner, sorry. Now we definitely understand what Schaffner's strategy is to get back out front.
For sure. That's what makes me think. I mean, I don't know if he got a penalty or something, possibly. I mean, it was definitely an odd occurrence, but he's definitely fighting to try to get back out front. You're 100% right on the money there as he is now battling with Darren Mullins, goes side by side. This has allowed Don Avery, though, to get a second away. And you know, Avery's dangerous when he's got clean air. Now, of course, he was, really close racing between the 64 and the 50 here. Wow, they are paper thin between those two, Big Al.
Yeah, it's an ATM transaction right there is what that is.
For sure, but it looks like Josh Schaffner does make the pass happen. But Avery was trending tight earlier, right? I mean, he's in clean air now. Could he be, trending the other direction, maybe free that car up a little bit with the clean air?
Yeah, but Schaffner's fast early and then he's fast long. So I think Avery has got to just, and remember, the same thing that Schaffner was kind of doing in front of Avery, now he's doing behind Avery. He's still going to make him drive faster than he wants to, and Avery's car is going to lose handling in the long run because of that. Schaffner, for whatever reason, I mean, he has got it dialed in, so I think he'll be able to actually make it work longer, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. Great job, though, to Joey Preby. Has gotten back on the lead lap and is running in 7th place. He has definitely got a crowd of hungry drivers, though, behind him, considering he's got Gary Adamson and Chris Severa right there behind him. But Don Avery now under complete and total fire for the lead, and it looks like Schaffner just takes it back, reaches out and snatches it.
And this is the time where Avery's listening. Sherry's telling him, she says, Big Al says, don't chase the rabbit. Let him go. Run your own pace, run your own race, because that's what you got to do. Everybody doesn't know. Look, here's the deal. This stage is so long and it's so awkward, Brian. You don't have to come in.
Oh, look at that. Derek Jacobs on the apron sideways.
Jacobs has been having a hard time. Caution's not going to come out, though. As long as he's got that thing pointed in the right direction and keeps it below the solid yellow, we should continue green flag racing. Kenny Powell now putting a bumper to the back of Darren Mullins, because he's not going to be pulling along the inside of him. That battle's going to be for what looks to be 3rd place.
Looks like Kenny Powell does make the pass.
Yeah, Powell taking a page out of Schaffner's playbook, trying to get up to as close to the front as possible. Now, Mullins, I mean, this is good for him. He has been running up front here. He is our biggest movers. He started all the way back in 9th place, but he had been running up front in that 2nd stage, Brian. But now, I think everything's going to start to shake itself out. But I want to say this. This is the stage where you got to try to keep it tight, because if this thing goes green the rest of the way, you cannot afford to let Schaffner get out to a 4 or 5 second lead.
Oh, no, definitely not at all. Just considering you got, Darren Mullins was coming on a lot stronger in the late run, too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets himself a 3rd place position. We talked to him tonight. Of course, they are about 15 laps into this run right now. I would assume, if I was a bet man, I'm assuming, we talked about it before, 150 somewhere in there. On Thursday, we talked about it. It was like 152 to 158. Somewhere in there was when everybody seemed to pit, right, Big Al?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think some guys are going to try to shake it up a little bit tonight. It's Don Avery now putting the bumper to Schaffner, trying to actually contest for the lead. Now, Don, don't burn your stuff up chasing the rabbit, because that's exactly what I think Schaffner's trying to do. I think he's trying to lure him in, make him burn his equipment up, and then he'll run away from him. Now Avery on the inside going for the lead. I'll pull it up as well. Or Schaffner could have burned his equipment up trying to get to the front.
He could have. I mean, he started back, a little bit further back in the field, I do believe 7th, and had to drive his way all the way up to the lead. He could have heated those tires up too much.
Yeah, but look who is laying back like the fox. That's Severa. He is definitely laying in a wait, because, again, I was trying to get a strategy out of him, but he was tight-lipped, though. So he is definitely the one to watch for this stage right here. This Kenny Powell and Don Avery are battling for P2. Schaffner now allowed to just kind of squeak away just a little bit, but Powell finds himself all the way up to 2nd place. Brian's got to be feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, he's definitely doing a fantastic job, and you see how I think Schaffner really is playing mind games with these guys. He lets Don Avery get up to him, and then just starts pulling away on him again. He's making Don burn his stuff up, and I think even if Kenny Powell comes up there and challenges Schaffner, I think the same result's going to happen again. I think Schaffner is just so smooth on what he's doing. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He even says, I know what lap times I need to hit,
Yeah, and then we talked about that. I called that. These guys should know exactly what lap times they need to run consistently in order to be able to put a solid run in the books.
Definitely a very solid run, though, so far for Alan Henson. Been loving every bit of what he's been able to do so far here tonight. But you do see Chris Severa, like you said, lying in wait. He is on the move now and catching up to the 22.
Yeah, you don't ever count Severa out. Like I said, he was the fastest running in practice. And, we got to get through the pit cycle, the pit sequence, and there's going to be a time to go. Right now, these guys have got 21 laps in this sequence, be 22 at the line. And this is about the time when we started to see those tires start to really fall off, and that's when the car started to slow down and the guys that were saving started to speed up. Schaffner, though, being out front, he's going to kind of dictate everything based on when he's going to elect to come down pit road. We still got 70 laps to go, just outside of the pit window here, but vaguely. So I think, within the next 15, 20 laps, Brian, I think we'll start to see green flag pit stops.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think about 25 laps, somewhere in there, I think we're going to start to see those pit stops. And, the guys that want to split it in half are going to go around then. And, of course, yeah, like you said, I think even 20 laps, just if you wanted to short pit it. I mean, we saw monster short pits on Thursday from Derek Heitman and I do believe Jeffrey Sousa, and it didn't work out for him, but could we see some other guys that try that here tonight?
And you got to try it. You got to risk it for the biscuit. That's one of those catchphrases that Big Al uses, because that's how you get the dough. And if you're going to be chasing Schaffner all night and you haven't been able to catch him, you're going to have to definitely throw some different eggs in the skillet, if you know what I mean.
100%. Josh Schaffner in the lead. He's got about a half a second back to Kenny Powell. Schaffner has led easily the most laps here so far tonight, and it seems like nothing is going to stop him. Definitely awesome performance so far for him, as Joey Preview, I do believe, has gotten by Alan Henson as well. Now back to 8th position, but Preview now up to 7th. So glad to see him starting to move through. I mean, and what a person to follow, Chris Severa. I mean, if I'm going to follow anybody through a pack and try to get position, that 62 is the one I'm following.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But I want to give a shout out to the 36 of Gary Adamson as well, because guess what, Gary? Tonight, boss, you going to get you some stage points as well. Derek Jacobs, you're in line to get stage points. I feel like Oprah Winfrey. You get a stage point, you get a stage point. I mean, hey, yeah, baby, make it count,
100%. Get all the stage points you can get. As Don Avery, I do believe, has gotten by Kenny Powell now, and his claim to, he's got 2nd position. So it looks like Powell maybe starting to reach that tight phase that we've seen in him, tonight.
Well, they're almost 30 laps into it. Right now, if a caution were to come out, these drivers would be able to make it to the end of this thing on fuel. Now, tires, that's a whole different story. So right now, I think it's a game of just how close can you keep the rabbit? That's the game that Josh Schaffner is playing with the rest of these guys. He's playing with his food, I think, but the guys, you got to keep him in earshot. You got to keep him in sight. And when he pits, I think that's going to dictate when a lot of other people pit. Now, I think a lot of guys are going to pit before he does, just because they're not going to be able to maintain.
I'll tell you, someone who's maintaining some really high speed, though, the last couple laps, Don Avery has been the fastest car on the track. And he is maybe running down Schaffner here. We'll have to wait and see. We saw him get really tight later in stage 1 and 2, but it seems like this is different. Avery might have made a successful adjustment, because he is showing some significant speed right now. But like you said, Josh Schaffner might just be, as you said, toying with his food. We'll have to wait and see how this kind of turns out. Green flag pit stops, though, are very well on the horizon, as I do believe, have 10 or more laps until we'll see those start to proceed. Does look like Alan Henson having a little bit of a resurgence here. We saw Joey Preview get by him. Now Alan Henson trying to get himself by him, or get back by him, I should say. So the battle is on right now for 7th place. Chris Severa also has gotten up into 5th place. He still is 5 seconds back from our race leader, though. Alan Henson tries to go underneath the 65. The 65 is not letting him. Trying to protect the bottom as much as he possibly can right now. Yeah, Preby is not willing to give the bottom lane to the 22. So now the 22, I do believe, maybe switching up the thing here. Maybe go to the top. I mean, if he's not letting you have the bottom, go where he's not. Right, Big Al?
Yeah, but, it's also like Chris Rivera said, it's just hard to pass. Once you get within a second of that car in front of you, the dirty air makes it just that much more difficult. And that's why I said that's the reason why Josh had to make that pass earlier on, because when you're on fresh tires, the car's hitting like a laser. The longer this thing goes, we've seen it time and time again here tonight. It's like a dump truck. Now these guys right here side by side, and he's still not clear with this pass yet.
Good job, though, for Alan Henson. Preby was desperate. Preby seemed desperate to keep the 22 behind him and was overdriving a little bit, even caught a little bit of the apron. And I think that took some of his momentum away, and it allowed Alan Henson to make the pass, and now he moves up to 7th. You see even Gary Adamson after that battle closed in a little bit on that 65. The 65 has not looked as good as he could have tonight.
Yeah, Joey kind of spun out a little bit earlier on, and that really is kind of indicated the path that he is so taking tonight. It's just, it just shows the struggle that team has had, man. And you kind of hate it for them, because you got some guys that are out there that just kind of got this thing figured out. And right now that seems to be the team of the 50 as well as the 11, as Don Avery has now got the leads cut down to within 0.2 of a second. The 64 Darren Mullins officially begins our green flag pit stops as he finds himself down pit road.
That was a big short pit, I'd say. A little 10 laps too soon, in my opinion. But I don't know. I mean, it could work out. It could work out.
Yeah, we're not.
He's fast on the long run.
We're not riding his horse.
And he's fast on the long run, though. I mean, it could work because, I mean, he's fast on the long run. That 64 has been pretty good tonight.
Or he could have just found himself in a position where he was going to wreck the car if he didn't come on down pit road.
I don't think so, because I mean, I think in stage 2 that was the longest run of the night. He looked good. I don't think this was a necessity. I think he's trying something. I think he's throwing something at the wall. Seeing what's going to stick.
You absolutely have to, because now he's going to put himself in a different window. And that's what I kind of said. Well, look at me. I'm
off strategy. Yeah.
That's exactly what you got to do.
Tell you what, though, very impressed with the 72 of Wes Dobbs up in the top 5, and awesome run here at the Rock. How about next week, though, Big Al? Talk a little bit about that. Darlington.
Got nothing.
I ain't got nothing for it, that's for sure. I mean, I love Darlington, but I definitely am not going to envy those guys out on the racetrack. I'm going to be a fan watching the race, though.
That's why we'll be sitting back up in the booth drinking me a cold water and watching the whole thing unfold. Gary Adams and Chris Rivera both down pit road at this time, officially signaling the start of green flag pit season.
You were right on the money, Big Al. I think you said, you kind of said in 20 laps, and I think you were right on the money. Chris Rivera, though, bringing it down pit road, definitely being a big trendsetter, as well as Gary Adamson. Now, this is the question, though. When does Josh Schaffner come down? Does Don Avery short pit him?
I think so. I think if I'm Avery, I stay right with Schaffner, because that's what he's doing, because Schaffner has the pace to beat. He is going to be the race leader, however long he stays out. So I think if you can run with Schaffner, you can beat the field.
Now only 6 drivers remain on the lead lap, as we have seen a significant amount of green flags pit stops.
But I do believe that Avery's best shot right now, though, is keeping Schaffner in his sights.
Yeah, 100%. Looks like he's managing to do that right now, but he's got a lot of Gary Adamson right there on him with the newer tires.
Fresher tires, yeah. But, this way you can even gauge exactly how much time you're going to lose on pit road.
Should see some more green flag stops anytime now. But for the most part, it looks like the top 5 have decided to stay out a little bit longer. Of course, Darren Mullins was the one that kind of pitted the first out of most everybody there. So I think he is going to come out looking pretty right now. Once everybody else does their green flag stops, he's sitting 6th right now.
I
We'll have
don't
to wait
know.
and see.
I don't pile down on pit road right now, but I don't think so. I think right now Josh Schaffner's going to come down here within the next 2 laps, and the reason why I say that is Schaffner is fast within 45, and he knows exactly what that setup is for the 45 lap setup. He knows the gap that he has now as a lead. He's going to come down, he's going to pit, and then he's just going to blow him away.
And it looks like you were right on the money, Big Al. Man, you got the lottery numbers tonight?
No, I mean, because if you think about it, Schaffner swept the first 2 stages. That's 45 laps and a little more. Right now, he just got to come down. He's got to be as consistent and smooth as he can, and he's going to come back out as a leader, and Avery will be right behind him.
Yeah, I mean, they cannot make a mistake on pit road right here. Avery's going to be desperate to try to see if he can't get the lead off of pit road here, but I don't think it's going to happen. It depends on if anybody misses their box. That is going to be big. I think both of drivers were successful in getting in their boxes. It looks like the 22 and the 72 also bringing it in pit road. So that's a full pit cycle. Everybody has been down pit road. Everybody's good to make it to the end.
And Avery down pulled up that distance, but then he loses it right there. That's going to cost him dearly. Any shot that he would have had of catching up to Schaffner now gone right there as he bobbled on pace coming off of pit road.
Yeah, that is a ton of time. He just lost to Josh Schaffner almost 5 seconds. As Preeby gets into the rear end of the 11, spins him out.
Yeah, the 11 right
Caution
now.
could be out here.
Yeah, 11's going to squat right there.
Caution is out.
That was his best call. I'm not going to say anything negative about it.
I mean, he got spun out. I mean, Joey Preeby just did not have any awareness there. Just came in and hit the 11.
Well, the 11 had a black flag, because of his pit road exit. So at that point, he's trying to get back down pit road to serve that. He's got his hand out the window. Preeby doesn't see it. And then at that point, Avery has no choice. He's already past the entrance. You got to park that car there. But if you go below the yellow, the caution doesn't come out. If you go back on, it does. I'm not mad at him. It is what it is. It had to happen that way. Unfortunately, it happened after everybody had already had their green flag pit stops. It's going to work out in the favor of the 64 Mullins. He's going to come down now. He will be the only driver that's going to be getting freshies, if you will.
Now, think about this. I mean, yeah, if I was Schaffner, there'd be no way I'd pit. Just considering, I mean, he just came off of pit road. I mean, Don Avery came off of pit road right there with him. Chris Severa, though, might be on a couple laps older tires, but he has inherited a lead.
And, and at this point, there will be a lot of, tension speculation about Avery. But Avery has to make this work in his favor. He has to be able to rebound from this and marvel in the fact that he's still on the lead lap.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think he did anything wrong. I mean, he spun out.
No. He's got to capitalize from this, though, Brian, because his pit crew, they did everything they were supposed to do. His crew chief, he did everything he was supposed to do. So this is one of those times where Don Avery has to kind of turn into the Lone Ranger, if you will, or maybe even Superman, find himself a phone booth, and he's got to get back in there and put himself back in contention in order to win this thing. He took himself out of contention. It's on him to put himself back into contention.
I would say he was definitely in contention there. I mean, coming off of pit road and coming on the pit road, he was right there with Schaffner and could have easily been fighting for the lead, but just a little misstep there. He got an unsafe pit exit. Just unfortunate to see it. Just a good run gone bad, and he still has a chance though to maybe recover. He does. I mean, he's in 9th. We've seen Chris Severa, go back to the back, and he drove up through the field a little bit. So, his night's not over. But one story I have to say, though, Chris Severa's on 9, 10-lap-old tires right now compared to, Josh Schaffner and the rest of these guys are on newer tires.
Well, and I've got a lot more to say to that, but my mother always said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, you must be Big Al.
I
But
think if
here
I was
you go.
Schaffner, I would go back down. I would have went down pit road, but I think he thinks track position is more valuable.
Well, here's the thing, Brian. Are you ready?
Sure.
This just opens the door for at least one more caution.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
right now, these guys are going to be 40 to go. It's all about track position. You don't settle in now. Now you put the throttle down, and these guys are going to be trying to rate themselves. And in their mind, they're saying, hey, we had a third place car. Well, that guy's trying to get to third place. Hey, we had a second place car. That guy's trying to get to second place. Hey, we could have won this thing. Well, that guy's trying to win this thing. And like we said, all of these cars cannot occupy the same spot of virtual real estate. And that, my friend, is where I believe the collision occurs. And I think this race isn't clean for the remainder of it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see here. Of course, Chris Severa and Josh Schaffner are getting ready to duke it out. Pace car lights are out. And, of course, Chris Severa really far off from where the pace car is here.
He's
Interesting start.
Trying to make sure that he's the only one that gets to run, and he does just that.
He definitely pulled a trick on everybody.
Gary Adamson high on the racetrack. That caused Darren Mullins to actually check up. Now they got a little bit of a stack-up situation going on back in the rear of the field, but Kenny Powell now finding himself
4 wide. Oh, my goodness, Big Al. They were just 4 wide. 3 wide still as Prevey bounces off of the 36 and the 64. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, keep going, brother. You got it. Call the race.
Oh, my goodness. That was nuts. 4 wide at Rockingham. I have never seen that in my entire life.
Well, if you stick around, we might have the same thing occurring at the front as Josh Schaffner and Chris Severa now are battling side by side for the lead. Schaffner getting the advantage on the inside, but Severa not wanting to let it go. And remember, this has got to count. This is where it sticks. You can't let Schaffner drive off into the sunset right now, and you got to make those moves while you got fresh tires.
Interesting to note also, looks like Alan Henson and Don Avery are on pit road and laps down now. What happened?
Yeah. Avery did have a penalty, I'm sure. Powell now coming on the inside of Severa. He is now going to be trying to get the advantage on his G&G teammate, bringing in the 72 of Wes Dobbs in tow. Severa definitely trying to get it figured out here is Joshua Schaffner is driving off into the sunset.
I'm very confused. Maybe on the restart with Chris Severa's trick, could that have given someone a black flag?
Yeah, Alan Henson definitely the recipient of a black flag. I'm pretty sure that Don Avery had one as well. Avery probably already had served his.
Interesting, though, for sure, how the landscape and picture of this race has just completely changed. One thing that hasn't changed, though, Big Al, is the leader, Josh Schaffner.
Yeah, Schaffner doing what it takes to get it done. Everybody stacking up behind him. Chris Severa trying to make it happen, trying to make it stick, trying to dial back in here to get Schaffner reeled in. Cannot let Josh Schaffner run off into the abyss. 34 laps to go. Kenny Powell definitely taking a page out of Chris Severa's playbook, and he is going to put pressure there as well. Schaffner, though, remember, I think he has been kind of just playing with everybody. I think he makes Severa just kind of stay out there behind him. I don't think he lets Severa get by him, not especially with this many laps to go, Brian. What do you think?
Definitely, for sure. I'm surprised that Severa's as competitive as he is with 10-lap older tires than Josh Schaffner. I mean, that's kind of wild to see that he's this competitive. Just shows how masterfully Chris Severa is. You can never count him out. Doesn't matter how old his tires are, it seems.
Or does it show how masterful Josh Schaffner is? Because Josh now is kind of just luring Chris Severa in just enough to make him burn his tires up. You know what I mean? You gotta. That's
He's dangling the carrot. He's dangling the carrot.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now Powell is right there with him. It hadn't been this close up front all night.
100%. And look at that. The top three, though, are all G&G.
Don Avery trying to do everything he can to remain on the lead lap. But barring some kind of strange occurrence, Brian, or a late race caution, I think Avery is going to be at risk of going a lap down.
Well, he's already actually 2 laps down right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alan Henson, of course, is 3 laps down, so that leaves only 7 drivers that are still on the lead lap. And, yeah, they would need 2 cautions, or Don Avery would need at least 2 cautions to get back on the lead lap. And it could end up happening. I mean, these guys are still racing hard.
I don't think we got 2 cautions in this bunch, man. This is the ISCA, so 2 cautions outside of stage cautions, that's going to be a tall omelet for anybody. And I think we already had those. So that beats the over and the under, if you know what I mean.
100%. Looks like Schaffner is starting to pull away a little bit here as Chris Severa's tires start to maybe catch up with him, as Kenny Powell still right there on him. Top 3, not only they're separated by only about a half a second. Of course, Wes Dobbs is about a second behind the leader right now. So impressed with that driver. Of course, Darren Mullins not far back as well. Can Mullins get some positions here? Of course, definitely just a fantastic performance all the way around. I mean, we got guys up in the top 5 we don't see up here a lot.
Yeah, but one thing you do got that's occurring right now is you got Josh Schaffner that's attempting to pull off a hat trick. And I mean, that's pretty spectacular in itself, man. It's just been an awesome race all the way around. A lot of guys coming out here having to make some tremendous adjustments. Track temperature now all the way up to 110 degrees. These guys have pretty much battled about everything except for a hurricane out here tonight, Brian. It's Kenny Powell now pulling up onto the bumper of his G&G teammate, Chris Severa. Powell's probably going to get around Severa just for the simple fact that Severa having some 10 laps older on his tires. That puts him over into that 25-plus lap threshold, and we know that's when that's when these guys, the cars are actually the slowest.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I think he's going to start struggling quite a bit. Now, I know that Chris Severa did make an attempt to free the car up before the race began. Hopefully, that'll keep him to where he doesn't get tight like a lot of the other drivers do, but he still will lose some pace. Of course, Wes Dobbs and Darren Mullins are right there as well. So as soon as the 24 and the 62 start battling, I think that could bring them right into the fold. But look at that. Kenny Powell makes short work of Chris Severa and now is up into the second place position.
Yeah, I think Josh Schaffner was just kind of keeping Severa pulled up enough that makes Severa get out of his comfort zone.
I think that's what Schaffner's been doing all week long. We talk about if he wins 2 races in a row. Of course, last week someone else did that, Don Avery. So, I mean, man, quite a trend.
But Avery definitely got the bull by the horns tonight. He did not take the bull by the horns.
He was the fly, not the windshield.
Yeah, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. He was definitely the bug.
Do a quick rundown through the field, though. Josh Schaffner up in the lead. Kenny Powell in second place. Chris Severa in third. Fourth place, Wes Dobbs. Fifth, Darren Mullins. Sixth, Joey Preby. Seventh, Gary Adamson. Eighth, Don Avery. Ninth, Alan Henson. And 10th, Derek Jacobs.
Kendall LeBron, Jose Acosta, and Randy Mullins all have retired from tonight's event, as well as Derek Jacobs. So 4 of the 13 drivers that we started this contest with no longer in competition. Josh Schaffner, though, still with a commanding lead right now, up to 1.3 seconds over P2, which is going to be his G&G teammate, Kenny Powell. But the good news is, from the team perspective here tonight, Brian, it's G&G 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah, it is, but it might not be for long because Wes Dobbs is catching up quickly to Chris Severa along with Darren Mullins. Mullins is pushing Dobbs to move a little bit quicker, and they are quickly, like I said, approaching that 62. We're watching through the cockpit camera of Darren Mullins right now. We'll have to see if Chris can kind of regather himself, cool the tires a bit. Here comes Mullins. He's going to try to go underneath Dobbs. It looks like Not going to quite be able to complete the pass yet. Of course, Dobbs has been pretty good at protecting the top line, but it looks like Mullins has gotten the pass completed. Now he's going to be trying to move his way up to Chris Severa if he can. Of course, those two battling did allow Chris to put a little bit of a buffer zone between him and Darren Mullins now.
Yeah, and Chris needed, because right now he has got some 33 laps on his tires, 10 laps more than the average. Now, he is Superman, but however, 10 laps is 10 laps, so that's something he is going to be feeling here for the remainder of this contest, especially as it continues to go green. Josh Schaffner all the way out to a 2-second lead over second place Kenny Powell. Powell definitely having a strong run here tonight, though, Brian, and he is definitely going to be picking up some much needed points as well.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, he's about 2 seconds back from Josh Schaffner, but going to be a really good points day for Kenny Powell. And, I know that the Saturday and the Thursday series are different, a different set of points, but Kenny had a terrible ending to his race on Thursday. So he's looking for a good one tonight, and I think a second place would do exactly what he wants.
I mean, I think Kenny Powell hit about everything but the pace car on Thursday, so I think they're definitely having a good race for him here tonight,
Yeah, what a final lap on Thursday, though, man. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 4 incident points for him here tonight, so he's definitely got to be feeling pretty good about his performance, man.
We talked about a buffer zone between Chris Severa and Darren Mullins. Well, that is no more. Mullins all over the 62 now. This is the battle for third.
And hopefully these two will be able to play nice together, because I don't see Severa relinquishing the opportunity to be able to talk to you. So I think this battle right here is specifically the battle to talk to Brian Britt. And Chris Severa is not going to play nice, and the 64 is going to have to be patient, and I don't know how much patience he has left.
I'll tell you, I'm rooting a little bit for this 64. Even though Chris Severa is a good friend of mine, I'm a little bit rooting for the 64 because we don't get to talk to him very much.
I was trying to be funny a little bit, but I definitely do believe that both of those things are occurring. The 64 is trying to get onto the podium, and Severa is trying to maintain his podium position. So this is definitely going to be the battle that you're going to be watching as Schaffner continues to extend his lead now just over 3 seconds over P2 Kenny Powell.
Yeah, he's catching him. Yeah, I mean, Severa's actually catching Powell. But it looks like Severa is starting to pull once again away from Darren Mullins. So maybe the dirty air affecting Mullins, you think?
Is the dirty air affected both Mullins and Severa is what I think is happening.
I do believe we have 11 laps to go here this next time by. So the time is definitely running out for Mullins to try to get by Severa. Time is running out for everybody out here, but I'll tell you what, who loves the times running out is Josh Schaffner. He's got 3.4 seconds, almost 3.5 now.
Yeah, definitely he is man, wow, the Ice Man. That's what I called him on Thursday. That's what I'm definitely going to call him tonight. The Ice Man cometh with the hat trick potentially here, Brian. Just 10 laps away from putting it in the books, and that will make Josh Severa somewhat of a myth.
Josh Severa, huh?
Josh Schaffner,
you know what, though? This is actually a better night for Josh Schaffner than Thursday was. You got to think, we had 2 different stage winners, I do believe, on Thursday, right? We had Matt DeCiani and then Derek Heitman, and then Josh Schaffner won a race. Tonight, Josh Schaffner has won stage 1, 2, and possibly the race.
Josh Severa. I like it. You know Big Al's going to do that name mashup right there.
That's like Brangelina or something like that.
Yeah, I like it.
But it looks like we have now 8 laps to go for Josh Schaffner. Now almost 4 seconds that he has on Kenny Powell. Now Powell has been somewhat maintaining the distance between him and Severa, but we'll have to wait and see how that kind of turns out. I think Kenny Powell just holding on for dear life, hoping he can maintain this second place finish. But what a performance from everybody out in the field tonight. We've definitely seen, comers and goers and a lot of guys, that we aren't used to seeing up front, doing well. I mean, 5th place, Wes Dobbs, awesome job to him.
Joey Preby, back up into almost the top 5. He, he did run in the top 5 when he was here earlier. Gary Adamson sucking down some serious points here tonight in 7th place. So, yeah, definitely the headlines are going to be all over the place, but it's going to read that everybody wins big here tonight, Brian. Not just Josh Schaffner.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of feel a little bad for Alan Henson, though. He is going to get points like you mentioned. The only thing is like the black flag, I don't even know if that was something that was possibly his fault. It just seems like iRacing sometimes is dodgy with the way they give black flags out. I mean, he had a top 5 car here tonight, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely he did. And unfortunately, maybe we'll get a chance to talk to him next week, but not tonight, though, unfortunately, in order for him to figure out what actually went down. 5 laps left to go in this thing before it's in the books, but the big headline tonight is going to be Schaffner clean sweeps the field at Rockingham with a hat trick.
Yeah, another big story is G&G 123. That is definitely a huge accomplishment for these drivers out here. Chris Severo is really starting to catch up to Kenny Powell, but I don't know if he has enough time. I think he might. I mean, he's been sailing and cutting deep into that time, so Kenny Powell might be relegated back to 3rd. We'll have to see how hard they battle for it. We saw an interesting last lap on Thursday. We could see an interesting last lap here tonight as well.
Yeah, I think Powell's good. I think he's going to do exactly what he needs to do, even though Severo is kind of reeling him in. Right now you got to kind of be that robot. You just can't be stuck in the relative order review. You just kind of got to keep focused forward. Powell's been here before, so I don't think he's going to have any problems holding off Severo for P2.
Well, especially with the dirty air. I think Chris Severo is starting to really get into the wake of the 24 machine. So, and of course, we've seen it all race long. It seems dirty air is kryptonite for sure. But look at that. He cuts in quite a bit. Let's see how much he maintains on exit, though. Looks like he does maintain quite a bit of momentum on the exit. He's right there on Kenny Powell, only a car length now back.
Yeah, and 10-lap older tires, though. I don't know if he's going to have enough Goodyear to get it done, Brian.
We'll have to wait and see. Final lap. White flag is out in the air. Kenny Powell under fire look at that. Severo all the way up to the top. Almost looked like what Derek Heitman did, but did not touch the wall. Race not over. A couple more corners. Here comes Chris Severo to the bottom. Side by side, neck and neck for 2nd place as Josh Schaffner wins the Sun Drop 200. It looks like Chris Severo gets a little loose. Who's going to get it? It's going to be a close one. A drag race, and Kenny Powell wins it. They finished with, up to the 1,000th next to each other.
Man, the things people do to talk to Big Al.
They were racing so hard right there. Still not clear who won it. I think Kenny Powell did.
Thousandths of a second to Powell.
It was very, very close. They were so close. Let's take a look back at that, Big Al.
Yeah, you're going to have to. That's one of those photo finishes right there.
Here they are right here. You see Chris Severo bobbles. They come to contact and just neck and neck coming across the start-finish line. What a race. That's probably one of the closest finishes in ISCA history.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be 300,000ths of a second. As Josh Schaffner burns it down, it's official. Schaffner, your winner. Powell, P2. Chris Severo coming in P3. Darren Mullins, 4th. Wes Dobson, 5th. Joey Prevey, P6. Jerry Adamson in 7th, Don Avery 8th, Alan Henson 9th, Derek Jacobs 10th, Kendall LeVron 11th, Jose Acosta 12th, and Randy Mullins in 13th. That is going to round out this portion of the night's coverage as our leader celebrates. We will take a brief step away, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with our post-race coverage.
It's gonna get hot today. Grab an ice cold sun drop and show us how you drop it.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Drop it.
'Cause I got it going on. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
A thirst-quenching citrus soda just dropped coast to coast. Sun Drop.
That's how you drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I do believe we're joined in the booth by our third place finisher, Chris Severa. Definitely an interesting finish there for sure. So close. Might have been one of the closest finishes in ISCA history. I mean, man, I bet you were wondering whether you got it or not.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun there. Yeah, I just saw Kenny closing in there. We kind of went for the same spot going into one, and we were way up the hill. But got a good run off, and I smoked the tires coming off the bottom of the corner there just a bit, and I knew I had to go up. Fortunately, got to him a little too late, but 3 thousandths per second is what it is.
Yeah, and especially just considering, you were on 10-lap older tires, I do believe, than Kenny Powell. So, I mean, it definitely seemed like you had a grasp on the race car for sure. Seemed like you might have had something for Schaffner. I mean, what else did you need, and why did you stay out?
Yeah, we were for that cycle, we kind of saved, it's like super saved really early, and then short pit the field to just kind of have that clean air. But unfortunately, that didn't really work out. And I was hoping with I didn't realize it was close to 10 laps when on the difference of tires. I knew it was more than 5, but I just knew I have to keep the clean air. And honestly, I was really just looking for Don out there because I know it's just me and him real close for points right now. And I knew he was in the back and he was either going to have to use his last set or come through the field. So I didn't want to burn a set there and just played it safe.
Yeah, Don Avery actually finished, I do believe, 2 laps down. Had some issues, I do believe, with a black flag on pit exit. So wasn't really in the conversation as much as he was before the green flag pit stops, that's for sure. But definitely was a great competitor here so far, tonight. And interesting. We saw you. I know when we were kind of talking to you during your interview, we saw you kind of go down pit road and a bunch of times. What was that about?
Yeah, I was going to try and see if the fuel was going to work, but we were just losing too much time, having the same amount of fuel that we would have needed. So it kind of went hand in hand with trying to save tires, and ultimately I was able to abort that. And I think we came in just about 4 seconds behind them and came out roughly like 2. So would have been interesting if it stayed green, but that's racing. It's how it plays out sometimes, and just lucky we'd make a podium of it.
100%. Definitely some good points for you for sure. Excellent work. Definitely got the points you needed, I'd say, on Don Avery. Maybe not to take the points lead. I don't know. Josh Schaffner been on a roll here. I think your main competition might have been him tonight for sure. But Darlington comes up next week. How you feeling about that track? I know big driver's track. I mean, how does it rank on your list?
Yeah, it's definitely a fun track. Very similar to like how 1 and 2 is here. For the 1 and 2 there, Darlington's just a bit bigger. Yeah, no, it's looking forward to it.
All right, definitely looking forward to it as well to see who comes out on top there at that treacherous lady in black. Who can we give a shout out to tonight after your third place finish?
Yeah, just the guys at G&G, Team Watson Racing, Kenny Coppola for the set. It was a great set this week. Yeah, you guys as always for putting on the booth. Shout out to 3F Racing, Chris Tate, in the driver development program there. Yeah, all you guys for fantastic broadcasts every week. Feel like I can go kill a dragon or something, man.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Chris, and you have yourself a great night.
Thanks, guys. You too.
All right, and that was Chris Severa. And next up is the other person that participated in that phenomenal finish side by side. Only, I believe, thousandth separating them. Big Al standing by with Kenny Powell.
Kenny Powell, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I got you.
Hey, congratulations on a spectacular photo finish there side by side with your G&G teammate, none other than Chris Severa. You got to be feeling pretty good, though, about bringing it home in P2 tonight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Proud of my run. Proud of all of G&G bringing it home 1-2-3. It's been a great week. So yeah, Josh definitely proved that he was class of the field. So I kind of knew where I stood in that pecking order. Not to say I wasn't going to, do everything I could to get up there, but I, kind of knew where I was going to finish. In between me and Chris, I wasn't sure there. Because of the tire difference. And you see what resulted at the end. It was real fun racing with him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you were preparing for this race, because I know you probably, how many laps do you think you turned this week just getting in preparation for this race tonight?
Oh, Lord. Conservatively, I'd probably say 1,000.
So 1,000 laps getting ready for this, man. And that's what we're talking about, just the amount of time and the preparation that it comes in. One thing we did see tonight that we don't usually see, we had a couple cautions. So the question I want to ask is, how did those impact your strategy, if at all?
The way the race normally, cycles out, we have 2 sets for the third stage. Sometimes we get caution. Most of the time we don't. But, you're all in the back of your mind, you're trying to save that set in case there's a late caution. And since when that caution came out, it was so close to when we all took tires that, it was still the game plan to save the set in case something happened, later on in the race.
Well, another thing that actually happened here tonight, we had that track temperature was steadily going up, and we noticed that you were having a little bit of tight conditions earlier on. Was the hot track, did that actually affect the handling of your car at all, or was that just the way it just kind of set itself up?
I think I definitely struggled with and I don't know if it was the heat or the 75% fuel. But I didn't have the car in this race and first tonight's race that I've had in the A Opens. Just didn't feel the same. It wasn't quite balanced the same, and I don't think I ever really hit on it. And I think Josh and Chris did. That's just the way that flies.
Next week we're headed to Darlington, and that definitely doesn't land very high on a lot of people's favorite tracks. So how's that one going to come out of the gate for Mr. Powell? Is that something that we can expect to see you perform well at and possibly be on the podium back to back, or you think you're going to kind of be in the back?
I race a lot. I raced everywhere. I like most everything. Darlington's not on that list.
All right.
I get through Darlington, so I'm gonna practice, do my best. But I hate to call out bad luck or not reaching for the stars and put my goals up there. But I'm not quite sure you're gonna see me in the lead next week. So I'm gonna do what I can to run as good as I can and at least stay in top 5. But we'll see when we get there.
But if you put in as much preparation as you did for this track, maybe you might actually find yourself on the podium. Because that's a pretty solid run that you had tonight. And obviously, you'll be able to take that momentum going into another unique track, as Darlington is as unique as Rockingham. But man, once again, congratulations on your second place finish. And before we let you go, who you shouting out tonight?
Definitely the team G&G. We put laps in, had a lot of fun this week, so that contributed to a lot of the success. Kenny Coppola, TWRS, that's where the set came from, and it's a rocket this week. Of course, you guys for helping me out. Sundrop, who else? Everybody that participates in the league, everybody that watches, I appreciate it all.
All right, sir. Congratulations again for your second place finish. Can't wait to see what you do for us next week.
All right. See you later.
Alrighty, that was Kenny Powell, our second place finisher here tonight. Definitely a fantastic run, one of the closest finishes I think we've ever seen between him and Chris Severa, and what a fantastic performance. Next up is the man, the myth, the legend, the Iceman cometh, Josh Schaffner. Man, I mean, 2 in a row, and you didn't stop there. You had to win every stage of this one.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever swept an ISC a week before, so I can check that box. And yeah, just very similar. Car was really good. Did a little bit of job in the stages tonight. Still could kind of do without these pesky speeding penalties I've been inducing on myself, but we're able to recover, and kind of had to do a similar thing to Thursday night and be really aggressive to get that track position back. And I definitely used up the car there a little bit. I know Don was putting a little bit of pressure on me, kind of towards the 2/3 mark of that run, but was able to kind of just cool them tires down enough and maintain pace. And hate to see he has some trouble on pit road, and just put together a really good race outside the pit road penalty.
Yeah, 100%. We saw that kind of happen to you, and it was unfortunate. We were worried about you being in that dirty air. Was that something that really hurt you?
Yeah, it definitely could, and I think I really realized it. I know Joey was kind of trying to protect his lap, which he should have been, and as I closed in on him, he had good pace at the time, but yeah, it really slowed you down, and the dirty air was a challenge, and yeah, definitely kind of learned there that I just wanted to get out front as quick as I could, and then just kind of fall into my robotic rhythm. That's really what this place takes. You got to just be consistent. You got to lift. You got to brake. You got to hit the same line. 200 times or 400 corners, whatever comes out to be, or 800 corners, I guess. Here, this race is a long one, but that's just what it takes to be consistent over the long haul and fast on the long run here.
100%. It definitely seemed like that was the case for sure. You seemed like you were able to just maintain those gaps just perfectly. And we even said that you were playing mind games with the field. It seemed like maybe trying to tease them, play with your food a little bit.
Yeah, the other times, especially in the first 25, 30 laps, if you got some space, you got to back up to them a little bit. And number one, it helps save your tires, and number two, it's kind of a carrot. And sometimes people push a little bit too hard, and then before you know it, you're going slower and still pulling away. And that's kind of what you got to do sometimes in these races.
It definitely seemed like it worked out well for sure. I mean, they were able to get side by side with you, but never able to seem like they were able to get around you. And then all of a sudden, you just start pulling away. And clean air seemed to be your best friend here tonight at Rockingham. I mean, are you sad to see this week go? Because I mean, you've been highly successful.
Yeah, it's a fun track, but I'm looking forward to Darlington as well. And this place is tough to get around, and ran a lot of laps this week, so I'm kind of glad that it was a great week, but glad to sunset it as well and move on to another fun track.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned Darlington. I mean, how does that rank? I know Kenny Powell just kind of said that that's not one that's on his list. What about you?
Yeah, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I really enjoy Darlington and usually run well there, and we'll put some work in tomorrow night and get ready for it. But regardless of how it goes, I just love racing there, and it's just a situation. If you can keep the car clean and run consistent lap times, you're going to be there at the end.
100%. Well, we definitely wish you the best of luck for that for sure. Congratulations on the hat trick here tonight, and of course, getting 2 wins in a row. Hopefully, we can make it 3 here coming up in next week's Darlington. Who can we give a shout out to though after this big win here?
Yeah, I want to thank the ISCA, you guys in the booth, the team at G&G, and appreciate TWRS. The setup this week has been just awesome, and I want to thank Pioneer Smith Farms, Field Facts, and all the support from them, and all of our drivers, especially want to thank them for coming out each week. It's fun to compete against them.
100%. Well, thanks for your time, Josh, and congratulations once again. And have yourself a great night. Don't party too hard, as Big Al always says.
All right, appreciate it, Brandon.
All righty, that's Josh Schaffner, your winner tonight, and definitely, I mean, just phenomenal performance here. I think these points are going to be changing up quite a bit after tonight's show. And man, Rockingham, you could definitely we almost in a time machine going back to this racetrack, but we're now with these next gens, and I tell you what, these cars seem like they do very well at this place, Big Al. I mean, I'd like to see us come back here to Rockingham, hopefully in officials.
Yeah, you said time machine, but I think it kind of brought a lot of people back to reality. Definitely an awesome opportunity for a lot of drivers to get points, man. Appreciate my most favorite of all, Sundrop, for sponsoring the race, and ISCA and Kenny Powell for giving us the opportunity, and my co-host Brian Britt, man, best assistant I ever had.
100%. I mean, I love to get your coffees for you, man. It's all good. But great race here tonight for sure. I think that about wraps everything up for us in the ISCA crew, and we appreciate everybody out there tuning in. A big shout out to Kenny Powell for organizing all this and all the racing and all the drivers that contribute and to keep us, all the people out there watching, entertained. Tell you what, we definitely have a lot of fun calling these races, and can't wait to see what Darlington holds. Of course, tune in with us on Thursday. About 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the broadcast will actually start. 9:30, a little after that, is when the green flag will fly, of course, at Darlington. Of course, same time and same place on Saturday. So make sure you tune in. And if you're interested in possibly joining this series, please feel free to reach out to Kenny Powell, and you can join some of the best racing, I'd say, on the service. Thanks, everybody, for watching.